So what I want to do basically is, before I start my intro, is have a discussion about, because I like to inspire people as well, and kind of have the short version of how you started with OG. If we go to the background of, you were in finances, how does that switch happen? How do you start a business, and how do you get it to a point now where you used to ship products from your parents' house, if I remember correctly, and now you have a facility that you purchased yourself.
Right.
So now you have that, you're having like 30 or 40 employees, you're generating tens of millions of dollars a year in sales. And how do you get to that point? So there's hard work, there's knowledge, there's passion. So if we can kind of dive into
So what I wanted to do, I was talking to you. So I have a spreadsheet of I'm going to, you know me, I'm super transparent. So I'm going to show people, like, this is the entire master collection, right? So this is Matt Moorman's entire process. And so what I'm doing is I want to make a series talking to my friends who know different things than I do. And I'm putting myself at the mercy of you and saying, hey, this is what I like. What do you think about that? And so I'm going to do the same thing with Rick. I'm going to do it with Corey from CarPro. I'm going to do it with Levi from the Rag Company, and just kind of, and you guys are going to talk me into doing some things that maybe I'm pretty dug in on. I'm dug in on my process.
Yeah.
But I think the key message to the world here is the difference. The thing that I'm hoping to do differently is, I don't want to be a retailer. I want to be a curator. And so I want to find the best things. Now, of course, I have strong, I don't like to say opinions because I'm using it, but I have a strong experience, and I stand behind that experience. But you know me, I can be convinced, despite what the world thinks.
Yeah.
I mean, I can, if there's a better argument, the better argument has to win. I mean, and if you're a business owner, a practitioner in life, you've got to be willing to let that go. And I'm 100%. I'd love to be proven wrong. And so this isn't about making me look stupid, hopefully.
No.
But the plan is to, if I need to be made look stupid, I'm willing to do that. I'm willing to take that risk, right?
And it's a good thing what you're doing, I think, is the variety of people you're talking with. Like Levi, for example, he'll probably cue you into more microfiber stuff. In my case, I love to test products all the time, so I'm more the chemical side. Corey's the retailer side, so he has access sometimes to brands that you might not have thought of. But the good thing is, I think you and I like a lot of the same things. So what I did is I went through all your packages.
Right.
And I'm like, what would I change if I had something to change? But the good thing is, you already have, like, the baseline is set. The products that you have are stout. And there gets a point where, let's be honest, we're part of that 1%, your viewers, my viewers, of car detailing enthusiasts. The general population doesn't even think of these things. Heck, they still probably use dishwashing liquid to clean their cars, right? So we're to a point now where one product versus another, sometimes the differences are so minute, it comes down to personal preference, or sometimes conditions where you live, right? You're in Florida, you're definitely not going to have the snowstorms we have here in Canada, or some places in the US with access to, where they have road salts and a bunch of different conditions. So sometimes
I may need to make some adjustments to the process in order to factor that in as well, too. So let me share my screen. We'll jump right into it if you're cool with that.
Yeah, absolutely. So what I did, I went on your site and I went through all your different packages, and then saw what you currently offer, because you're also an evolving thing, right? So you don't have an issue. If you find something better on the market, you just replace it, you punt the old one out. And so your viewers or people who buy from OG are always kind of guaranteed to have the latest and greatest, or very close to, unless there's some stuff that you haven't tested or tried out yet. And I think that's what I'm going to do today, is propose things that I would have in that lineup. And if there are things in there that I would definitely change, I'll let you know.
Yeah. And I'm probably not going to listen, but I might. And that's exactly. That's the beauty, right? That's the beauty of our relationship, is you're not offended, I'm not offended.
No.
We can hash it out and figure it out. And then, I'm certainly going to at least buy some of the stuff that I may not have tried or may not have experience with.
Exactly. Yeah.
So what this comes from, Pan, and I'm sure you've heard me talking about this, but this is my muse. Park Tool bike kits, and they have this. They have the master tool kit. And so when I started Obsessed Garage, this was my whole muse. By the way, I still haven't bought this, and I only have like 4 or 5 Park Tool tools, but someday I'm going to get this, and it's $10,000, right? Just for bike tools.
Yeah.
And so what I do, this is how I shop, and I know most people don't do this. So I go to this picture and I start looking at it. I'm like, well, I don't want that stool because I already have a Viper chair. I don't know that I need the frame straightening stuff. I probably will never do that. I would just buy a new bike. And so what I would do is I would use this or utilize this to make a decision on what I might buy. And then they even go one step further, which is what I've been planning to build since the beginning, is to build a spreadsheet of what's in that kit. So what's in the master bike collections? It's one of everything, basically. There's a few things that they're missing. And I say, well, what if I wanted that one thing? And so me as a, I guess, professional shopper, this is how I think about things. And so what I want to do at Obsessed Garage is I want on our site, when you go to the detailing, this will be a master collections, and we'll have master collection, we'll have base collection as well. And so the master collection, I think, will probably sell 2 a year, right?
Yeah.
To like, I'm here in California working on this crazy garage. I'd sell it to someone like Fred, who doesn't have anything and wants to start from the beginning and just get everything that I have in my garage. But that's not going to happen very often. The purpose of this is not to sell people a $15,000 package, $14,732.92.
Mm-hmm.
The purpose of this is to give people the full picture of, if you wanted to do it the way that I do it, using the process I use, using the same stuff that I have in my cabinet, this is what it would cost.
Kind of like an end goal situation. If you have an end game, this would be it.
Correct. But the more realistic thing is, like, if I go over to the car washing package, we have ultimate, advanced, and to get the basics, it's $250 to get like the base things you would need to wash your car the way I wash it. Yep. Now that doesn't include 4 pads and 4 extra pads and 5 extra gallons of soap. It doesn't include all the extras. It includes the base. And so this is what I learned, a lot from watching you and others, is there is a progression in life, right? You talk about this a lot, where not everybody gets to start out at paying the organizer level. There's progressions in life. A 21-year-old just starting out, it's still in college, can't buy a Krensla and a $14,000 detailing package, unless his dad is really wealthy. And so there are progressions. Or you may have a 70-year-old who has lots of money, but just isn't that into it, but would like to do a little better. And so there are stages and steps. That's your argument for the Turtle Waxes and the base Meguiars and the that still need to exist for those that were using Dawn. Now they're using something that maybe is a little bit better. And I've always admired that. It's not my thing, because I'm the guy at the that's looking for the absolute best. But there are progressions in this. So I'm building out progressions in the high end, because even in the high end, it's not crazy money to get started with a base car washing and wheel cleaning package. But what I want to do today with you is dig into the master collection, and everything else is based on the master collection, just like the park tool thing. So you come to the store, you look at, oh man, what would it be to get everything? And then you figure out how to get there in your timing. If you were, aspiring prosumer, base detailer, if you just want to do better, with your car.
And the good thing is, when we look at our audiences, they're so varied. There are people who have a smaller budget, people with average budgets, people with unlimited budgets. And so you kind of get a feel for what your actual viewers want. I'm sure it's the same thing for you. You've grown to a sizable channel at this point. And so you kind of get the feel at one point, does one person start off with nothing? Where do they start? And like you said, they can't start with a Krensla. I remember when I was 16, I didn't even have a pressure washer. I had a garden hose, a bucket, a regular car soap. I used to go to my local auto parts store and trying to figure out what was the best between the Meguiars, the Mothers, the Turtle Waxes. We didn't have access back then in the early 90s to things like CarPro, Geon, G-Technic, and all these prosumer to professional level brands. And now even consumers have access to that. So you can start off getting a bit of equipment and tools that will grow with you. But for the products themselves, you don't always have to get the best of the best right away. You can evolve and also see what you prefer. A lot of it comes down to personal preference. And you might like a brand, but another person might not like the brand for whatever reason. And the good thing nowadays is the competition, I find, is so strong out there. Companies have no choice to come out with crazy innovations. If not, they're going to be blown into oblivion and the other ones will take over. So you constantly have to come out with new stuff. There's been a craze, I think, in the last years, maybe a bit too much. But as far as quality goes today, you'd be hard, like it's not complicated to find good products, whereas over a decade to 2 decades ago, it was very hard to find the best products. So that's a cool thing where we're at right now. And what I can do is basically go over, like, let's start with a car wash package, because I went through all your packages in order of what they're presented on Obsessed Garage. See what you have in there as far as detailing products are concerned, and what I would maybe not necessarily change, but at least give you a hint that you should be trying this. So, for example, in the does that make sense?
Hold on one second. One of the tricks here is that my master collection has changed, but so just keep that in mind. I may adjust something. So the packages, let's focus on the product and less how the package is constructed.
Exactly.
Changing how the package is constructed.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm interested in. The construction of the package is the easy part. The hard part is the selection of the products in it.
Absolutely.
So
cool. If I look at car washing
here, and let's kind of work through your notes.
So I have you. So you basically have the GSF. That's great. My preference, and you already have it in there, is CarPro Reset. So if you do have a ceramic coated vehicle, definitely Reset for me is the best car soap. It's been so for years. But I would also add in there, just as an alternative to try, the Armor Detail Supply Shampoo Plus. So those guys, they've been doing some great stuff, and definitely you have to try that one. I'm not saying it's better than Reset, but they had Reset as their baseline that they wanted to either hit or surpass. And I think they did a crazy good job. That's another one like GSF and Reset that can be used both in a foam cannon and in a bucket. And the price, when it's a bit steep if you look at the 16-ounce version, but when you get in their bigger sizes, like the gallon size, that is pretty affordable. And the thing with the ADS or Armor Detail Supply, the Shampoo Plus, you don't need a lot of it. So like an ounce in a foam cannon, you go to town with crazy amounts of foam. So for people who are looking for a lot of suds, a lot of lubrication, and a lot of foam generation, I think that is a very good one to look at. But other than that, GSF, fantastic. And of course, Reset, my favorite one. If I look at your OG drying aid, now I'm not sure how keen you are on just keeping OG stuff in there, but definitely currently I've been using the Armor Detail Supply Amplify for a little while now, and that's another one you absolutely have to try. If you're looking for gloss slickness, I used to like Beadmaker a lot before. A lot of people argued that it doesn't last long. Yeah, but we use it as a topper, right? It's not something that's meant to be there for long-term durability. You have your base ceramic coating for that. So I like the gloss and slickness, but that was like launched in 2017. You and I used it a lot, featured it a lot, and it still works good to this day.
Sure.
But I find that ADS, that Amplify, just brings that up a notch. Has less of a tendency for people who have been reporting to me. A lot of people had dusting issues. So dust accumulation with Beadmaker. I never had such issues because I don't live in conditions like that. But that was one thing that was recurring theme with Beadmaker, is attracted a lot of dust. And that seems to not be the case from my viewers' feedback with Amplify. So that's a good one. I definitely tell you to look into that.
How does it wipe off?
There, no smearing, no streaks, no nothing. Of course, I work in a controlled environment, but even viewers who have been working or mobile detailers that report to me that use ADS a lot, there's no issues, because both of them, the owners of ADS, as you know, they're professional detailers, so they tested their stuff quite a bit in different scenarios, including in direct sunlight. And of course, if you can, work in the shade with any detailing product, but those are very sun friendly, and it just wipes on, flashes off very quickly, and gives you that silky smooth feel and just that little bump in gloss. Obviously not as much as if you were paint correcting, but just that icing on top of the cake there.
Yeah, a little background on Armor. Armor is Bradley Nielsen's brainchild. Bradley he was a UCF grad and a business major at UCF, and then he graduated from college and then went to work for Todd at Esoteric for a couple of years. cutting his teeth, and then he moved to Naples and started his own firm, PPF heavy. And he has, strong, opinions on, product usage, and CarPro was a stalwart in his arsenal. Same thing with, G-Tech coatings and stuff like that. And he decided to go out and use his detailing facility as a test bed. And so then he's going to, various manufacturers to build different products. I think he's making his stuff in Korea, but I'm not sure where he's making the stuff.
And his coatings too, like we'll get to that later. I think, well, and I know the wheel coating is probably the best I've tested.
It's the best wheel coating on the market. Sure.
They're stout. Same thing for his paint coatings, whether you get the regular one or the pro version. Those are some pretty, we still need long-term testing because they've been out for about a year and a half at this point.
He said I probably wouldn't like it because it's pretty high solid, so it's kind of crispy. My favorite is that kind of slickness. I love that experience of CSL. But I'm sure I'll try it at some point. Sorry, I'm derailing you here. Keep going.
Yeah, no problem. So next for the rinseless wash, McKee's N914 obviously became a staple at this point. There's V2 that came out. I'm being told by reputable sources that it is a pretty good bump up. So more lubrication, better results. Although I don't see a reason to change. If anybody has version 1, don't run to buy a new one. But I would definitely put in there DIY rinseless. You know how Ivan is the master of rinseless washes. It's a hybrid, so a blend between polymer based and surfactant based, and that one works super well. And one of my favorites too, PNS Absolute. For the slickness that it gives at the end on the surface. Now, they're not supposed to leave anything behind, but after speaking with the chemists, including Dave over at PNS, it's not that they leave anything durable, but anything with polymers in it will leave a film behind. And David Gadusi from ONR says the same thing. It's just not super durable, so it's not meant for long-term protection, but it does give kind of a silky smooth finish on the surface, and that one really is cool too. It does leave a bit of clumps when you're mixing it up, the PNS Absolute in there, so some people freak out. Sometimes they say, do I have a bad batch? No, it's just the way the formulation works. But those are two I would definitely recommend people try to see what they prefer in their conditions. But definitely the McKee's at this point, everybody knows it, everybody likes it, and it superseded the ONR version 4. I know ONR came out with version 5. It is not my favorite one out of the bunch. It is a slight upgrade compared to version 4, but nothing revolutionary. And although it was probably the OG of rinseless washes, I think others have had time to study it and see how they can improve on it and what people want. And now there's a lot of brands coming out with rinseless washes. So nowadays, anybody who wants that in their lineup, I'm still a regular car wash guy. So the bucket method and mitts and all that, and I'm sure you are as well. But there's people out there who want a rinseless wash solution as long as you use common sense and you're not doing it on a super dirty car, right? A lot of people forget that a rinseless wash doesn't mean that you never rinse the car. It just means that you don't have to rinse at the end of the process. So if your vehicle is caked in a layer of dirt and mud, obviously you have to pre-rinse first and then do the rinseless if you want to keep it safe.
My favorite, my preference for N914 was the surfactant only, right? Yeah. So it's not, it doesn't have the polymer, so it's not leaving anything behind. That was my preference because when I'm using, because I'm not a big rinseless or waterless washer, but when I do, I don't want their stuff. Is sort of my thought process. I don't want what they're leaving behind. I didn't like what ONR left behind. I didn't want any extra. But if the cleaning process is better and the encapsulation process is better, then, I could be convinced. And it's funny, a lot of these you mentioned I have on my list, but it's cool to confirm that I have another list somewhere here where I've got, a bunch of this stuff on it, but keep going.
The DIY you're absolutely going to love. So now let's move to the wheel and tire package.
Yeah.
So obviously ADS wheel coating, I fully agree. I wouldn't change that. That is my number one favorite wheel coating at this point. For wheel and tire cleaner, you have PNS Brake Buster. That is also my favorite. Now I will add something to that that's if somebody wants a wheel and tire cleaner all in one. So 2 products in one, because if you want separate wheel cleaners and separate tire cleaners, then there are more effective solutions. So if I'm looking at, for example, a tire cleaner, CarPro Retire and the ADS tire cleaner, those are 2 of the best. So if you really have gunked up wheels, if you have this old petroleum-based or solvent-based dressing that you have a hard time removing with a regular wheel and tire cleaner, definitely get RETYER for CarPro, by the way. And yeah, the ADS tire cleaner, those are crazy, crazy good. You'd be hard pressed to find a difference between both because they perform well, but the ADS is a bit less expensive, especially in the bigger sizes. So value wise, it is amazing. And if we're looking at wheel cleaners, I don't know if you tried the Koshemi Magic Wheel Cleaner. That one has an iron remover built in. That one, I don't know what they put inside there. It is expensive, but for cleaning wheels, and if you need that extra brake dust removal, that one's going to do a leg up. So the brake buster I would keep for general wheel maintenance. And yes, it works well on ceramic coated wheels. My wheels are coated, never had issues with brake buster. Your wheels are coated. You wash your car all the time with brake buster, no issues there. So for regular maintenance, I know a lot of people like the Adams wheel and tire cleaner. However, that is a slightly higher pH even, and it could be a bit too strong for coatings. It can weaken them over time. So that's where I think I prefer Brake Buster, and you can even use it in a foaming pump sprayer. It works well. So that I'd keep for the regular one, but I would highly encourage you to try those dedicated tire cleaners and the Koshemi Magic Wheel Cleaner to clean the wheels. The ADS wheel cleaner too works well, but there's something special about the Koshemi. If they could lower the price somehow, but I understand as soon as you add iron removing capabilities with the TGA active ingredient, the price skyrockets. One of the most expensive chemicals in the detailing space is always iron removers, so it is what it is at this point, but it works well for an individual wheel cleaner. And I know you have Wise Guy for your tire cleaner, but I think if you try the ADS or the CarPro Retire, you would love that too. So Wise Guy is one of the best ones out there for cleaning tires, although it's technically a wheel cleaner, but it's people use it more for its tire cleaning capabilities. But definitely those two that I mentioned are amazing.
What's the armor called? What is he calling it?
Tire cleaner. They keep it simple. For the iron remover, I know you have PNS Iron Buster. My preferred one is still and always CarPro Iron X. Geon Iron, a very close second. So I don't know, is it more a thing of availability for you and price wise, or because you know Iron X, right? It's the staple. I don't know if you have a personal preference for Iron Buster, or is it just availability? Because I know Iron X is sometimes hard to get there.
I feel like the Iron Buster has like a gelish like feel where it tends to grab and hold. I don't like to agitate. I feel like I get better coverage from Iron Buster.
It clings more, yeah.
Yeah, the pricing is nice too. It's quite a bit less than the CarPro. But CarPro was always my staple of the Iron Buster replaced
absolutely
the Iron X from CarPro for me. But I'm not a big aficionado on it's such a draconian simple task that like really you could slop any of them on there, I find, and it kind of works.
Well, so there are some weaker ones. If we look again at just the more consumer brand big box store, the previous generation of the Adams iron remover, that was not good at all. I know they improved it with a version 2 more recently. I haven't tested that one, but the original version was just not performing. It wasn't removing enough iron particles in there. Same for the Stoner iron remover. They're the first ones to come out with like none of that rotten egg smell. They do not use that thioglycolic acid in there, so it doesn't have the rotten egg smell. However, the first version wasn't performing super well, so they went back to the table, and it was staining. It was this whole thing about staining cement. So they went back to the drawing table. They heard their viewers out. They listened to people who had reviewed it, and they came out with a revised version. But as far as the more prosumer and pro brands, I think CarPro and Geon and PNS as well for value. PNS is always known for value, so it's not bad whatsoever. The Iron Buster, I think.
Well, the PNS win is that they're manufactured in the U.S., and they really are making their own stuff, so there's no middleman.
Exactly. Yeah, a lot of people value that too, especially North Americans, Canada, US. If we can find stuff that is made in North America, why not support what's made locally?
Yeah.
The other one that you had in there is the CarPro Eraser. That's my favorite IPA as well. Some could argue Geon Prep as well. I mean, they're so close in performance, CarPro and Geon, whatever people prefer or whatever is more accessible price-wise. But yeah, it's still my preferred isopropyl alcohol mix or panel prep if you want. So CarPro Eraser, definitely I would keep that. If we move, one thing I think you should add that I didn't see in the wheel and tire package, when maintenance is concerned. So a lot of people either do not have any protection on their wheels, or they might have a ceramic coating on their wheels, which is fine. But like anything, maintenance is key. I would definitely add a spray-on rinse-off sealant. It's so easy to do. Once you're done cleaning your wheel, you rinse it off while it's still wet. few sprays, rinse it off. You're done. 1 to 3 months of added protection, hydrophobic properties, easier to clean during your maintenance washes. And I would add Geon Wet Coat if you haven't tried that. It's a staple at this point. And you should try DIY Detail Quick Beads. So quick beads is going to last a little longer. You're going to have anywhere from 3 to 6 months, depending on your conditions. There's a bit of graphene in there, but it works super well. So those are two I would definitely add because it's so simple to do. You can even use it for maintenance on your coated vehicle, or even if you have no protection, it doesn't matter. And those products you can actually add even if your vehicle is protected with just a standard carnauba wax or a paint sealant. They're versatile enough that they're universal toppers. So spray on, rinse off, boom, you're good to go. For somebody who's pressed in time and who doesn't want to use a drying aid, you can do that, blow your car off, and you're good to go. So yeah, if you haven't tested those, I would definitely add that to the package. It just adds that simplicity and speed in the maintenance. I always do that once a month at least for the wheels. It tops off your protection and it keeps the hydrophobic properties going. Did you ever try a wet coat, by the way?
Yeah.
So I think that's a must. And if you haven't tried the DIY, check that out. I think that could be something I would add definitely to the package.
Thing I don't love about like Hydro 2 and Wet Coat is if you don't do regular maintenance, like regular decon in between, they'll tend to build up. Like if you can use too much, and you can get kind of white chalkiness.
Yeah, don't do too much. It's like 1 or 2 sprays max per panel, very light mist, because people think they have to oversaturate the panel for it to work. No, by spreading it with the pressure washer, or if you have a high enough pressure in your garden hose, it's fine as well. But it's the water that's going to spread the product around. So keep it to a minimum, and that's how you're going to get the best. Because if not, yeah, you're going to get streaking issues and that chalky effect and product buildup.
The other problem that I have with, like spray on, especially water activated sealants is that,
Yep.
if you were to look at that under a microscope, the amount of protection, you're not getting cross linking. There's no resin, right? So the resin doesn't bind it. And so what you get is great water behavior, but not necessarily great protection, at least total protection. You'll get protection in the areas where the silicon dioxide has lodged itself.
Yes.
If you were to look at it under a microscope, it looks like they're miles apart, because they're not attached to one another. And so it gives you, if you don't know what you're doing, it can give you a false sense of security and that, man, this is beating up water. This is great. And it certainly does help with, chemical resistance to some extent, but only at the spot. So surrounding the spot of silicon dioxide can be problematic. So it may give you a false sense that I can leave this bird crap on, or I can leave my brake dust on.
No, yeah. No, what they're mainly made for, like you said, is hydrophobics or those self-cleaning properties. So it just makes the vehicle easier to clean during your next maintenance wash. But your base protection, that's the one that's the most stout. Yep. That's your ceramic coating, your graphene coating. That's what you want, right? So this is just that windbreaker jacket on top of your skin to kind of protect the protection. We're to the point where we're protecting the protection.
I do like that idea because it's real annoying to spray. Like on the paint, it's easy to spray some sort of drying aid or some sort of topper, bead maker, OG drying aid, something like that. Armors, detail spray. It's easy to do it on the paint because then I can spread it around. But on a wheel, it's a lot more complicated. You got all the cracks and crevices, and not everybody has the time or the patience.
There you go.
There, spray it all on and wipe it all off. Whereas
and the barrel, right? You get into that barrel. Yep.
Yeah, a water activated topper. I'm not opposed to that. I kind of like that concept of I want to top my armor wheel coating, and using something like wet coat or quick beads could be a much easier way, to do that. That's not a bad.
That's why I would add it to the wheel package, because that's what I do for mine. For paint, I prefer using a drying aid because I want to control what toppers I add depending on what look I'm going for, what slickness. But for wheels, you can't go wrong.
I like that. Yeah, that's smart. See, I knew we'd come up with some cool stuff. I didn't think.
Yeah, absolutely.
Wheel. We're going to put this as an asterisk to go in the wheel package for maintenance. I'm going to start playing with that. Cool.
So the next one, interior package. So you have a lot of the color lock stuff for leather. Fantastic. You definitely for sure have to look into Geist. So as you know, Ram used to work at color lock for like 8-9 years, leather expert, started his own brand. The chemist he is working with, I had the chance to speak with, and it is next level. So when we're hearing plant-based, a lot of people, myself included, as soon as I hear green style products, I run away because technically that means it's a lower performance. So when I hear safe for the environment, oof. But now we're having brands like Built Hammer, which with their have their sugar-based touchless snow foam, which is readily biodegradable. We'll get to that in your next package. But I think that we're getting to a point now where brands have no choice to look into more environmentally friendly products, but to also make sure that the performance is there. And everything Geist makes that I've tested to this day, they only currently have a sealant, so 2 to 3 months on leather, kind of like the sealant that Color Lock has. So they don't have a leather coating yet for that 10 to 12 month protection. However, their cleaner and their dye and friction blocker, that's their protection that they call it, protection against friction damage, dye transfer, and all that good stuff. That one works amazing. The ease of use is crazy. And it's just the effort they put in once again into making products there's no chemical kickback, there's no fumes, there's nothing caustic, there's nothing dangerous for your health. And for the surfaces, what I like with their products is you don't have to overthink whether you have vinyl, real leather, false leather, fake leather, vegan leather, it doesn't matter. All of their products are compatible with anything that has a clear coated top coat. So people need to know, in the majority of the modern vehicles, leather has a polyurethane top coat. So kind of like a clear coat that you have on your paintwork, same applies to leather. So that's why we don't use conditioners on new leather, is because that top layer prevents the conditioner from going into the pores. So you're going to use conditioners later on into the years. That's why they have the 3+ year package. That's when you have microfractures in the polyurethane top coat. And that's when your conditioner can actually penetrate and get to the hide and re-nourish it. But for new leather, 1 to 3 year, new year car, all you have to do is clean the leather and you apply a protection to protect against dye transfer, friction damage, UV rays, fading, cracking, that kind of stuff, and make, of course, maintenance a lot easier. So definitely, Geist, if you like Color Lock, you're absolutely going to love Geist for what they do. Next, your Griot's interior cleaner, no issues with that. I really like it. I don't know if you've tried PNS Express for the interior. That's one that I really, really like. A lot of people like as well.
Griot's replaced that.
Okay. Can you dilute the Griot's?
No.
Okay, because PNS you can dilute up to 1-to-1. So for maybe those mobile detailers or professionals who want to save a bit, that's a good one. And one I would add, especially for ones who have those glossy black interior trim, or for looking something that they can do their nav screens and infotainment displays without worrying, the Geon interior detailer. That one is not a protectant, has zero protection, but it flashes off quickly. And for anyone with piano black surfaces, I have some in my 911, you as well, and your infotainment displays, it does light sanitation because it has a bit of alcohol in it. It will not dry out your material, so don't worry about it. You can use it on a bunch of stuff, even leather, for heaven's sake, although I would use dedicated leather stuff on that. But for piano black and your infotainment displays, it is very, very good. Did you try that one? It's that clear bottle with that transparent turquoise liquid.
I don't know that I ever really messed with it.
Dude, that is definitely for anyone who has, there's a lot of vehicles with piano black inside. They're always looking at, how do I remove the fingerprints without damaging anything? I don't want anything that smears, that leaves something behind, and get the Geon interior detailer and thank us later. That one is a great one to have. What else do I see? I think you use Koshemi, the all surface cleaner. To that, my preference for an interior detailer would be the CarPro Inner QD. It just gives you that OEM appearance, nice satin effect. It gives you that UV protection as well. It's more citrus based, so has a bit more cleaning power compared to the Koshemi. So that's one of the very, very good ones. If you're looking just for a dressing for protection, so not as much the cleaning side, because some people like to use separate cleaners and then apply their own protection on top. The lithium inner space has replaced CarPro Pearl for me. So CarPro Pearl diluted 1-to-5 was a staple, but lithium inner space, there's something about the way that finish. It's not OEM matte. It has a slight satin appearance, but the feel and the look is amazing. And those guys work really hard to come out with very, very good products that think outside the box. And if you haven't tried that, I would definitely put it on the short list for at least a test.
I'm trying to decide how much I keep going, how much I push back here. Keep going.
That's fine. Well, like I said, we all have personal preferences, but definitely.
No. I like the input. I'm just trying to think of how I make the video here. You're doing great. Keep going. I like it this way, where I keep my mouth shut and you fill in the gaps here.
So paint protection
I met
package.
those guys at Lithium, and anyway, keep going.
So they're not your forte. Okay, that's good. Paint protection package. OG drying aid. That one works very, very well. As we know, it's the Adams slipstream. Is that what they call it? But
Well,
yours has no dye and no
it's
scent.
B and B slipstream, right? Just with the dye and the scent taken out.
Exactly. So that one works super well. Again, ADS Amplify. We talked about it before. I would have that
Mhm.
to test on your short list.
Yep.
Your Colonite and Power Lock, that was very good, but at this point, I think it's becoming very old school. And instead of having two products applied, a lot of people like applying those liquid kind of waxes or paste waxes still, and I get that. For a paint sealant, if people want to apply that, I don't think there's anything better than Soft 99 Fuso Coat. Durability, you're getting 10 to 12 months easy, regardless of what conditions you're in. But it is more of a pain to apply and remove. And definitely, if you're to give something to your viewers that will protect from 9 to 12 months, but an easier application, spray on form, definitely Geon Canco Evo. The previous version, the regular one, was 5 to 6 months, but the Evo is an easy 9 to 12, even in harsh conditions like we have here. And I've seen people in conditions like you report that they've exceeded that 12 months, but it's just stupid easy to apply. Spray on your towel, wipe on, that's
I
it.
refuse. The only thing that stuff is getting is a shot from my AR-15 for all you
You don't like
Canadians
it?
out there. Can can suck a fatty. I
Really?
refuse.
What do you not like about it? I'm curious.
It's 10 times harder to install than a regular coating, so why wouldn't I just do a regular coating? That's
Can
twice as
coat is
good.
harder to install?
Yeah, I have to spray it on a towel and wipe it on and let it flash and wipe it off. I got to spray it outside of my garage because if I spray it in the garage, it mists everywhere and ruins everything else in the
Yeah,
garage.
no, that you don't want kickback or the mist flying
Right,
all over the place.
Well, the one time I did can coat, I ruined 3 cars and had to frickin' wet sand the darn crap off of them.
But no, what the
Dead
Evo,
sweet.
they did a great job with it. I can tell if you applied correctly and not in windy conditions. Again, I work in my garage. This
But
thing is wipe on. There's no waiting for flashing anything. Wipe on, wipe off. You're good to go. Maybe give the Evo a chance and
nuked
see nuked. Okay. But you
by
tried the original
that.
version. The original is not the same as the Evo. They really reworked that from listening to people who had complaints about it. But other than that, I mean, Colonite and Power Lock works very well. So I don't
Yeah,
have
I mean,
issues
I
with that.
keep those partly from nostalgia.
Yeah.
And then like I like doing my speakers, like my Dyne Audio black piano black speakers and Power Lock, or if I was doing something that isn't exposed to the elements anymore. But or what I'll do is if I was going to like I'm buying a car and I'm going to modify it and I know that I'm going to be rubbing on the paint and stuff, but I do want to have some protection on it. I'll wax it, and so
Yeah.
go back to that. And certainly you could find easier stuff. You could just do like, Hydro 2 or wet coat or something like that. But, it probably doesn't belong anymore, but I'm having a hard time letting go.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's my darn baby from back in the day.
And
It's
everything we're talking about so far, do you have things as well that your viewers will kind of say, "Hey, man, you should try like this or this product and in this kind of package"? They must certainly give you feedback over time.
Well, that's why I'm going to compile, from, 4 or 5 different people and make this series of, what am I missing? And so I think that, and I may go and try everything that everybody says, you know what, that confirms my, what I've chosen. And this is what I've done forever. And I always do it alone. And I figured, why don't I bring in some other experts and it'll be kind of fun. It'll escalate the process. Plus I've been having exactly what you said. Actually make a comment down below. What are Pan and I both missing? What do you think we should be trying? What do you should be considering? Because I don't think either one of us are dug into any of this stuff. And, certainly everything on this spreadsheet, whether on the left or the right, you're going to get a great result. I mean, that's the key here. We're talking
There you
about
go.
splitting hairs to make perfection. So we're chasing perfection in this conversation here.
Yeah, it's when we have discussions with other content creators in the space and we're like fighting over which one is the best. And I'm like, you realize at the end of the day, your first pick, my first pick, Matt's first pick, these are all you can run with them and have the best experience. Again, for like 99% of the population, any one of these products, they can literally pick blind and they'd have an amazing result. So we're splitting hairs. Sometimes it's living in different conditions. It'll give you better results. And sometimes it's just really personal preference. Now, you and I are the same. We're not sold to one specific brand. I'm constantly on the hunt for the next
Yeah.
greatest thing. That's one of the purposes of my channel, is to constantly evolve. And when I was using, if I look at the beginning of my channel 8 years ago compared to today, a lot of things have changed. And that's a good thing for me. That's a good thing for viewers, because we're getting more for our money, and we're pushing these companies to keep innovating, to keep in check and in line their prices as well, make sure they give us value for money, and to make sure they're not staying behind times, and that they hire the right people, they work with the good brands or blenders, or if they make their own stuff, if they're their own chemists, good for them. But they got to make sure that they keep innovating and keep up with technology as well, because things evolve and people are more and more demanding. They have access to these YouTube videos now. They know what's out there. And yeah, myself included, when I read the comments, sometimes people tell me they live in other countries, right? I'm from Canada, but there's people in Europe. They have, for example, Labo Cosmetica, which I looked at like 6 years ago, but they have evolved a lot since. And Mafra is such a big company now. And they came out with apparently one of the best rinseless washes. I think it's called Hydro Suave. And a lot of my viewers tell me you have to look into it. You have to look into it. So I will be digging into that as well. But we're constantly on the hunt for what else is out there. You might be blinded sometimes by your own picks, but there's always new brands popping up every week or every month, it seems. And you're going to have guys like Armor Detail Supply. They came out of nowhere, and all of a sudden they're causing this reaction in the scene because they're great people. They want good products. They won't settle for less, and they'll come out with products that actually work.
I'm
So as long as you have an
reluctant.
open mind and you're ready to try it, and if it doesn't work for you, you know what? It doesn't matter. There's so much choice out there. You can't get it wrong. At the end of the day, regardless of what you pick, again, we're splitting hairs here. There's a lot of good stuff out there. It's tough to fall on something that is really garbage material, especially when you get into prosumer brands or professional grade brands. They're very good.
I'm reluctant also in most things in life to just jump ship, just to jump ship. I need to really be in detailing. I find one of the biggest mistakes, especially those that don't have a lot of resources, they jump around more than I do. And
Yeah,
like I'm the guy buying all this, selling all this crap. Like if anybody should be jumping around, it should be me. But it's just not. To me, the process is more important than the product. I love the product, right? You do too. I mean, I love brands. I love great products. I love getting it in the mail. I love lining it up on my shelf. Um, but jumping around, this same thing. You and I talk about this with investing. People tend to jump around and they buy and sell like crazy. And unless you're like an expert day trader, and even then, it's a really difficult game to make it.
yeah,
You with most things in life, you're better off focusing on the process, doing things a little bit more methodically,
yeah,
and not jumping around just to jump around. And so, for example, I'm not going to jump every time there's a new coating that comes out. I'm not going to jump to that because there's most of the time, the base G Tech product that I like, and I like the process. If I really sat down and created a pros and cons list, I might end up staying with the original, and so it takes a lot for me to, like, even on this, it takes a lot for me to adjust
yeah.
because the process is so important. Anyway, keep
And I,
going.
and I and I get that. If it works well for you, it's been tried and true. It would take a lot. It's like you can't split hairs anymore. It would need quite a significant advantage, either
Right.
price wise or performance wise, for you to say, okay, finally, I get it. I'm going to switch. Because if it's
Yeah.
just one or the
Right.
other, well, why
Right.
switch at
The
that point?
pros and cons checklist has to be,
Yeah,
it has to be if it wins, I'll
yeah,
probably change it. But if I, my pros and cons list is not just the number of pros and cons, it's some pros are more important than others, right?
absolutely.
And so
Yeah,
some parts of how a product works may be more important to me than the other. And, just like with you, I mean, the audience, or the people that are watching, or in my case, the people that are buying from me, are looking for me. As long as they understand that I'm discerning and looking at this stuff, they're looking to me to help them make that decision, because they want to make less mistakes, especially if you don't, I have like 50% of my net worth allocated toward detailing products. Most people have like 0.5% of their net worth
yeah,
allocated to it. So
exactly.
so, they're saying, well, shoot, maybe since this guy's more invested, there's a good chance that he, has thought about this a little bit more. So
And
what other
that's
products?
the beauty of Obsessed Garage is the way you've curated things is you remove all the headaches of things you and I go through over the years and decades fighting for finding that best product, that best tool, that best pressure washer. Well, you remove all that guesswork, all the hours and years of searching and scratching our heads and sleepless nights over the minutia. Well, that person can just come into the website, buy a package, they know what they're getting, and they're guaranteed to have at least some baseline of very good performance. You can't go wrong. So that's, I think, the strength in all of that is they don't have to look for the fitting, the extra coupler, the extra quick connect. How do you connect this? How do you connect that? You come to a place where everything has been done for you. And that's an innovation for me that not a lot of people nowadays, it seems obvious because you went through all that, right? But there's a lot of time invested behind that, even just researching chemicals themselves, like all the tests I do before I either put videos out or decide which ones will be taking my awards at the end of the year. It's years of getting to a point where now you can have a feel with the experience and listening to people's feedback as well, conditions, having in mind where people live. Not everyone has the same environment that they live in. So sometimes one product can take precedence over another for different amount of reasons. So it's a crazy world out there. And the simplicity, I think, wins. When people say, this is simple, I can just take all the headaches out of it and purchase, and I know I'm getting something good, there's a lot of value added to that. And like you say, often I think it's you have that coined phrase where you say honor the source. Well, the source has put a lot of time and effort to come up with these lists. It's not something you dream and you just think top of your head, and in a minute or two you write an Excel spreadsheet and there you have the master collection. It doesn't work that way. And there's things that come out of the collection, things that are added, things evolve, and it's a constant evolution.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
let's move on to your paint decon package, Matt.
Okay.
So I would definitely, the McKees again, no problem with that. CarPro Tar X, probably one of the best tar removers out there. Ulex as well from Koshemi, no problem. Iron Buster, we spoke about that one. For the OG Decon soap, I would highly recommend that you look at CarPro D-Scale. So that's the acidic, close to pH 6. For people who have a tendency to have water spotting issues, if they're caught early on, so if you keep washing your car regularly, you should not have issues. But for those who do have water spotting every now and then, this does not replace, and CarPro says it themselves, this is not your regular Reset weekly wash. So CarPro Reset is made for your regular washes, but once in a while, when you want to either strip older waxes or you want to remove the mineral buildup, CarPro D-Scale is insane, can be used foam cannon or your bucket. And there's the ADS Decon soap. If you have not tried Armor Detail Supply Decon soap, it's pretty good as well. That one is more on the alkaline level. So I would use more as a pre-wash. So I tend to use in spring, for example, every now and then when I want a deeper clean, I'll start with the snow foam, higher pH for the grime removal, traffic film, all of that oily kind of contamination. So I really like Billhammer Touchless, especially their new version. I know you touched on Touchless. So that's amazing. The Decon is good as well for that. So that higher pH for the pre-wash. And then for the contact wash, we're going to change the pH scale to more acidic. And that's for the mineral buildup. So a lot of people sometimes have coatings that they feel are clogged or don't perform as well. If it's well within its lifespan, sometimes it's just because there's mineral buildup, because coatings, just like clear coat, are porous materials. There's things that can clog them up, or you accumulated too many toppers and you just want to reset that back to the coating's original appearance and hydrophobic properties. So that's when something like CarPro D-Scale really, really works a very, very well on there. So alkaline pH snow foam and then acidic pH hand wash. So you get the best of both worlds. So you're tackling two different types of soiling or contaminations on the surface. And yeah, that new Billhammer Touchless. Anybody who thinks that snow foams do not work, that is incorrect. There's so many tests out there, myself included. John from Forensic in the UK has done this many, many times. So you'd have your pH neutral snow foams. Yes, those will not remove as much dirt because that's not what they're designed to do. They're designed to add more lubrication on the surface to reduce marring when you're contact washing. But those higher pH ones, like CarPro Lift and especially Billhammer Touchless, they also have the auto foam, but I prefer Touchless. So pH 12, the new version is actually pH 10.5 now, more concentrated, more than double the concentration. That one really, really helps with all that road film and traffic film buildup and removing 70 to 80% of that surface dirt before you do the contact wash. So there's no such thing as 100% clean without touching the vehicle. So a snow foam will not fully remove the dirt. That's impossible, but you can at least get to a point where there's no grit left on the surface and just a slight film of dirt that your contact wash is going to remove, and you have no chances of marring. If you haven't tested Touchless, especially if you live in areas like we have in Canada with crazy winters, road salts and dirt and grime and a bunch of gunk that will clog up your coatings, you have to give them a try. It's no joke. So yeah, the Touchless, and it's biodegradable. So that's one of the rare like green products out there, environmentally friendly, that actually work.
I like that
You've spoken
plug.
to Pete Hamber. What a great chemist.
I like
Uh,
that plug because I should have it here in the OG store and exclusive North American distribution rights here shortly. I promise I didn't pay
it's good.
Pam to say this, but it's
No,
legit. It's gonna, and us North Americans haven't really done the snow foam thing very much. And my argument against the snow foams in the say 2, 3, 4 years ago was our coatings couldn't really stand up to them. The
correct.
coatings weren't really good enough to
Correct.
stand up. And so you're beating the crap out of your coating by using a high alkalinity. But like Pete talks about, not all pH is created equally, right?
Exactly.
So using caustic soda to make the thing alkaline is different than using some other detergents, surfactants. So not all pH is created equally, and that's where I'm relying, personally on. I know there's lots of Koch Chemie snow foams that perform really well, but I don't know how much back end testing has been done in comparison to something like a dedicated chemist like Pete, who's his background and specialty is in anti-corrosion.
Yeah, not only that, but we in North America, so USA and Canada mainly, if we go back 5 or 6 years ago, snow foams were mainly used for like a show kind of thing. You'd have that big amount of foam, shaving cream like texture, but they were mainly pH neutral. So we didn't realize that we weren't really doing any pre-cleaning. So we'd
Right.
add lubrication on the surface, certainly to reduce marring, but none of that pre-cleaning. Whereas in the UK and Europe in general, they've been having these higher alkaline level pH snow foams or those higher cleaning foams for a while, because they also use traffic film removers, the TFRs, which we never use here in North America. So they have a different mentality there for the pre-wash. They understood that you need to do something with chemicals before you touch the paint with your wash mitt, so that way you're actually reducing the chances of scratching and marring your paint. Because it's when you're hand washing or your hand towel drying your vehicle, that's when you have the majority of the love marks that we call on the surface. So if you can reduce that as much as possible with these chemicals first in a touchless, because touchless is not one word, right? There's a reason why there's a hyphen. So it's touchless. You're touching your vehicle a lot less, hence you're having less chances of marring. So they've been using over in Europe
I didn't
those
know
higher
that.
pH snow foams for a while.
That's
Yeah, the same thing with their traceless. It's not traceless, it's
touchless.
traceless. So it's touchless. It's not 100% touchless. It's just you're touching less. That's the play on the words there. So again, for anyone who thinks that a snow foam is the only way to get a full 100% wash without touching your vehicle, no, there's no such thing, at least not to my knowledge. So it's just made to reduce the amount of grit and dirt before you do the contact wash. And so, yeah, the Bilthammer Touchless, I haven't seen anything that does a better job at pre-cleaning the surface before you do your regular wash routine with your wash mitt.
So the Europeans contend that their dirt is dirtier than our dirt, which is nonsense. But my argument has always been that I don't want to degrade
Yeah.
my last step protection. And so, and I'm sure it wasn't just this year all of a sudden that coatings are good enough to handle it, but I'm
No.
telling people that, especially if your car was waxed, I don't want to strip the wax off because yes, I may have removed the dirt, but now I removed most of the protection. So then when I go to dry that thing, I'm scratching the crap out of it because I've changed the surface tension, right? And so, yes, I was getting the car cleaner with a pre-wash or a high alkaline or highly acidic pre-wash detergent of some sort of pre-wash soap. But if I was stripping off my protection or beating the crap out of my coating, if I went net, I believe that I would have ended up with more scratches by getting that, by stripping my protection than had I skipped the stripping step, left my protection alone and just gently wiped. So now we get the best of both worlds and our coatings can hold up the freaking nuclear fallout, right?
Yeah.
And so now we can use plus the combination of better pH, right? Again, not all pH is created equal. So my mind goes, okay, I understand I'm late to the foam party here, right? I'm late to it.
Yeah.
But I'm okay with that. Now I feel comfortable in it, in that the snow foams have improved, the coatings have improved. So now I get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
And the
You're
Europeans are right. They were right a couple of years ago. I'm a little late to the party, but you know what? Whatever. What do you
Yeah,
want?
definitely. Well, we were focusing so much on just foam quantity, where Europeans understood that no, we don't care about the level of foam, because here we have this obsession in North America with the quantity of that thick foam on the surface. Whereas if you look at Built Hammer Touchless, it's a runnier type. So it will take that dirt and debris and run it down the panel as it's supposed to. So it's a different mentality. So what they focused on in Europe is more removing of the actual surface dirt before you do the contact wash.
Let
And
me
here
ask
now
you
we're
this.
having the Built Amber Touchless, the previous version was a pH 12, still safe on coatings, but now they lowered that to 10 and a half. And although I asked Pete, by the way, is it safe on coatings? It absolutely is, because coatings can resist now pH 12, pH 13 is not an issue. Although I wouldn't necessarily recommend it for weekly washes. So for weekly washes, you can still stick to your GSF. pH neutral is all you need. I would keep those higher pH for when you actually need a deeper clean. And he said the Touchless is still safe on their wax. So it doesn't mean it's safe on all waxes. I would still be cautious, because you don't know what carnauba wax the person applied on their vehicle. So it could still potentially remove the weaker protections, like either a simple wax or perhaps some paint sealants. But definitely for anything ceramic based, graphene based, whether it's a spray on coating or a full blown glass bottle vial coating, no problem with that. You'll have no issues. Same thing with CarPro Lift, pH 11 or 12. You can use it on ceramic coated cars. They were actually designed, CarPro, right? It's a coating brand. So they design coatings and they design their products to be safe on there. So no issues, but you're going to get a lot of more pre-cleaning. So perhaps in situations like yours in Florida, you wouldn't have the same level of that dirt, grime, and certainly not road salts from what we have in winters here. But for people who have that grime or even road film accumulation, or even I think you have pollen season over there, that can definitely help with the pre-wash stage. So get those and try them out. If it's not for you, it's not for you. But definitely people who have tried the Built Hammers of this world, it's hard to go back to anything else once you know the actual cleaning power that it has. So yeah, it was time for us to modify the way we think about the pre-wash stage, and it definitely does make a difference.
So let me ask you this.
Yeah.
If you've seen me do this, my cockamamie thought process of when I put a pre-wash on, yeah, let it sit for 5 minutes as recommended, right?
Yep.
Right now I've been using a panel impact ratio of roughly 3.5, just because of my dual Krensla. With the new Touchless, I'll be able to
Two or
adjust
one.
a bit more.
Yep.
So the process, my thought process is when I'm rinsing a pre-wash, I rinse bottom up. So the methodology is, so I got the rocker panel, right? So I foam it, sits for 5 minutes. I come and I'm ready to rinse my pre-wash off. So I'm rinsing from the bottom of the rocker and then up the door and then up the window and up the side. And then I'll go do the front bumper and then the hood and then the front windshield. And then I'll go and do the back from bottom up, and then I'll do the roof down. And my thought process is, I would like to have the impact of the pressure from the pressure washer and then the lifted dirt. I feel like I've got a better opportunity of lifting more dirt if I don't have extra, so runoff. So if I went from the top of the car and I rinse from the top, the bottom never gets the same impact of the pressure washer, because most of the soap has already run off the car if I wash from top down. And so my thought process here, now it doesn't matter with a pH soap, just get the soap off the car is what you're trying to do. But with a pre-rinse, there's no empirical data. I just freaking made this up. But in my crazy brain, I'm like, it makes sense to me to wash from bottom up. That way I get the most pressure washer impact with the soap attached to the surface. So hopefully maybe I can lift more dirt with it.
I've tested both. I've never found any difference between both methods. So it's, I guess, whatever works for you. I didn't see any evidence. And we have these crazy winters again where we have super dirty cars all the time. So I didn't see a difference. And then there's the argument, the opposite. If you're pre-rinsing from the bottom up, you can bring a lot of that grit and dirt, that's heavier grime in the bottom, and then start cross-contaminating and potentially doing more damage up top. So that's why a lot of people like rinsing from top down. But
well, that's honestly a stretch. That means that your pressure washer is somehow grabbing the dirt and then lifting it up and putting it on the top of the car.
For both methods, there's arguments in both camps. I just personally haven't seen enough evidence for me to switch to bottom upwards. I still do top bottom, but I mean, at that point, whatever works for you, it doesn't matter. As long as you're using, the more important thing is, what are you using for your pre-wash? And that's the most important thing. Because same thing, there's some guys sometimes will just spray the pre-wash, 30 seconds dwelling, they start rinsing. No, you need give that time to the chemical to encapsulate, to start lifting, to start digging into that grime, to soften the traffic film, the film, and all that kind of stuff on there. So there's a reason why there's instructions, once again, on these labels. You have to follow them. And don't work in direct sunlight with snow foams. Don't let them dry, certainly on the surface. So you want to make sure that you're working in the shade or in a garage if possible, in good conditions, and give them the recommended amount of time for them to work. If it's 5 minutes, let it dwell on the surface. Let it do its thing. It's going to save you a lot of back breaking stuff when you're going to do the contact wash. So definitely, follow the dwell time for the snow foam that you're using. Use it properly. Do the proper dilutions. I know the built hammer is tougher for some because you have to calculate that panel impact ratio. So and I told Pete he has to figure a way to make this simpler in the future. But at least once you get it right for your specific foam cannon and pressure washer setup, it's a one-time calculation, and then you're good to go as long as you don't change the foam cannon or pressure washer. So it is a bit more tedious to calculate, although it's not the end of the world there. But you do have some calculations to make that you get the panel impact ratio right. And from then on, it's going to be fun to use. And everybody who uses it, I'm sure you're going to love it.
Yeah, it takes freaking 5 minutes to figure it out.
Yeah.
Once you got it, then you just keep doing it over and over again. And it's not like if you were 0.1% difference, like it's going to freaking matter. You know, it's not.
Don't overthink the moment.
Exacting. Yep.
The last one. In your paint decon, I think, was the Koshemi Green Star. No problems with that one. The only one I would, if you haven't tried it, just because the dilutions that you can get are good and it's very effective, a bit more performance out of it, CarPro Multi-X. So I love that. Engine bay, clean wheels, clean tires in the interior, different dilutions, different uses. But that one is just so effective. So if you want more performance and you haven't tried that, that could replace your Green Star, but Green Star is a staple as well. Great dilutions, works well both inside and outside the car. Although for the interior, for most surfaces, I still prefer Koshemi Polestar compared to Green Star alone, because don't forget that higher pH, it could potentially leave a bit of film behind. It's better to neutralize with wiping with a damp towel when you're done with all-purpose cleaners on the interior. So keep that in mind. Again, that's why I prefer interior detailers or products that are made for the interior usually. But if you use an APC, it's still fine. Just keep in mind that final wipe to neutralize whatever, especially we know with the Meguiar's all-purpose cleaner, that is on higher pH scale. If you don't wipe it, it can leave that whitish residue. So that's a bit of that all-purpose cleaner left behind, that residual chemical. So you want to neutralize by wiping with a damp towel, just with a bit of water. That's it. If we move to your polishing package, so that one, I have a few recommendations because the ones you have there, I also use and I also love. So there's no reason to change. But sometimes, because we know that it depends on what type of paint, what type of clear coat, what type of pads, there is no one solution fits all. So sometimes to attack some, I remember when we worked on the E92 BMW M3, there was one of the compounds we were using that wasn't cutting enough and we had to switch to another one. So it always depends what type of paint you're working with. So for Sonax Perfect Finish, I would recommend, if you haven't tried it out, 3D ACA 520. That is a classic at this point. You have Sonax Cut Max. I really like that one. Jescar correcting compound, absolute fantastic. I would still try for the compound, the 3D ACA 500 Extra Cut. So 3D, as you know, they have their own raw materials, or maybe you don't know, but they actually have their own raw materials, which not a lot of blenders have. So they not only do their own stuff, but they're one of the rare ones that start off with their own raw materials for their polishes, their abrasives. So that one is very good. And I like both CarPro products. So CarPro, Reflect for the polish, and CarPro Ultra Cut for the compounds. For those who are just looking for alternatives, if any of the ones Matt has doesn't necessarily do the trick with your combination of paint and pad that you're working with, those are some that I like to have in my arsenal. For any people who want to work in direct sunlight, I haven't seen anything quite better than the Last Cut Plus. So as you know, Jace Price, mobile detailer, great guy. He blends. He has chemists working for him, and his Last Cut Plus, so not the original version, the new one, for anybody working in direct sunlight, that just works crazy, crazy good. And for your panel prep, after a polishing stage, so CarPro Eraser, I really like, but if you want something stronger and more lubrication on the surface, you absolutely have to try Phoenix EOD, the Peleus, Peleus. I don't know if you tried that one, Matt. But for a panel wipe, that's more on the strong side. Phoenix, Phoenix. Peleus, Peleus. So that's his panel prep. He went through different versions of it, and it's not just an IPA because a lot of them are just alcohol based. This one also has some surfactants and detergents in there, so proprietary blend, obviously. So it has a bit more cleaning power on the surface to really not leave any polish residue behind. So if you're looking for something to clean even more, that one, and more lubrication on the surface, that one is a crazy good one for after polishing. Next, paint coatings. So this is one where you have your classic CSL and Exo combination. So 2 layers of CSL, 1 layer of Exo V5 at this point. So it's better than 2 layers of Exo V4 in the previous. That works super well for anybody who wants more of that organic appearance and that super silky smooth feeling. Although I feel, correct me if I'm wrong, but when you're applying CSL alone, you have that super slick surface. But when you add Exo on top, you're not getting as much of that ultra slick. So you are altering the surface properties of CSL, obviously, because you're applying a topper on there. But it's a 3-layer system. I think we're moving more and more now into 1-layer coatings that have much less of a curing time as well. So some that I really, really liked recently, the DIY Detail 8-year. That one is a only 1 hour curing, 1-layer system that you can apply on all your surfaces, glass, plastics, lights, paint, wheels, you name it. So if you haven't looked at that, that one is pretty stout, just like the ADS coatings, but a bit easier to apply. And if you can have access, if you're open to some more pro grade coatings, the one I have on my Porsche, it's been almost 3 years now, the Roar coatings, that is still the best pro I've ever tested. Nothing comes close to it. Nothing comes close to gloss, slickness, hydrophobic properties, chemical resistance, real world durability. It's been through hell and back with our winters that we have here because I drive my car 365 days a year. But everything I threw at it, whether it's acidic pH, high pH, cleaners, iron removers, tar removers, you name it, the durability on that one is just nuts. That and the Armor Detail Supply Pro Quartz coating. So 1-layer setup, only 12 hours of curing on that one. And the DIY Detail, again, that's a 1 hour curing. So 1-layer systems, I think, are the future. If you're looking something more prosumer, there's Geon Synchro Evo. That works pretty well. I don't know if you tried the new Evo version. So you could add either 1 layer of Mohs to get 3 years of protection or 2 layers of Mohs for 4 years of protection. And you get the top layer of skin. So kind of like that CSL dual package kind of thing. You get the slickness, but you get the bigger durability of the new Evo kit. So for anything, if you're looking to test something in the prosumer space that's readily available, I think Geon Synchro Evo is something to look at for sure. But CSL and Exo, it's a classic at this point. I don't see anything wrong with it either. It's just I found CSL in my conditions on its own without a topper doesn't last as long as the others in winter conditions. So in my viewers who reported the same thing, who live in conditions like mine, it's you're not going to get the 5 years. You're going to get closer to 2 or 3 years. So keep that in mind. Whereas things like the ADS, for sure, higher quality and quantity of solids in there, and definitely Roar coatings. Mine is still going like day one, and that's rare to say after many, many years of driving in winter months. So yeah, Roar is good. I think they released even a is it a consumer grade version? But I know they have a lower tier coating that's less expensive because the Roar is very expensive. So somebody who says unlimited budget, I just want the best of the best. I'm looking into that. And there's the new C6 ceramics from Ivan. So DIY detail, the higher end version now for professionals is C6. I will have to look into that because I'm already hearing good things for people who were able to test it ahead of time. So they just launched that. So C6 ceramics, I'll be looking into for sure. But for the ones that I have tried, and I know all those, it's not Aurora, sorry, Matt, it's Roar, like the roar of a lion,
Oh yeah,
ROAR.
yeah. That's I was so saying. I never heard of this Aurora business.
Yeah, they started off in the agriculture world more for machinery, and their coating is just so stout that they said, "Hey, man, let's bring this over to the car world." Ivan was one of their consultants on it. So that one is polysilazane, ceramic, and graphene. So the trifecta in there, and it's killer. I don't care what the formulation is as long as it performs, and that
Yeah,
one is tried
yeah,
and true. So give those a chance. I think they're worthwhile. If we move to
yeah.
the glass sealant, I think that's going to be your biggest improvement for me, your glass package. So you have Wolf's, which is so easy to apply to remove, but durability, 4 to 6 months. If you want something
You're
even
lucky. Yeah,
easier,
that's if you're a discerning user
yeah.
of of your wipers.
If you want something easier, even easier, so you apply it, 5 minutes later, you wipe off one layer, Soft 99 Ultra Glaco. There is
Yeah.
nothing that I've tested better than that for consumer grade coating. That will give me easily 11 to 12 months consistently, regardless if you use your wipers or not. And they're so obsessed. So what their backstory is, they're big in Japan, obviously. But they started in the 1980s. They had a lot. Well, of course, they have the monsoon seasons, and airline pilots, when they were flying their airplanes, they noticed that it was very hard to have visibility, and they needed something to work on their windshields. So they reached out to Soft 99. They developed the first coating for the glass of the airplanes. And they realized just how durable and hydrophobic it was. The government stepped in at one point and asked Soft 99 to produce it for the public. So they produced millions and millions of it now, and that's how it started. So Glaco means glass coating, and the Ultra Glaco is the top of their line because they have the DX. They have a bunch of other ones that don't last as long. But the Ultra Glaco it comes in a rolling type product with a felt applicator. So cross hatch pattern up and down, left and right. You coat your entire glass, leave it for 5 minutes to 10 minutes max. You buff it off, super easy wipe off, and that's it. And you have something that I haven't seen superseded yet in the products that I've tested for the glass. They also have their roll-on compound that I would recommend. So that's a easy glass polish because prep, just like paint, if you want your product to last and to actually adhere on the surface, you have to prep the surface well. So you can either use a standard polish if you want or a glass polish and then use an IPA to wipe the surface, or just use what they call their roll-on compound. So it's again felt applicator, squeeze little type bottle up and down, left and right. It's a chemical that does the abrasion on there. So it's going to decontaminate your glass, fully strip it, you rinse it, dry the glass, and then you're ready to apply the sealant. And this is like stupid easy to apply. I haven't seen anything that's as easy that will give you that durability. You can use your glass cleaners. It can resist if you're foaming your vehicle with a higher pH snow foams. It doesn't matter. It doesn't care what you're putting on there. It just works. So that was one that I still keep number one spot for best consumer grade coating. So the Ultra Glaco is not the regular Glaco, the Ultra. That's their flagship. So that's one definitely you have to try. And the last but not least is your matte paint package. I wouldn't change anything in there. Dr. Beasley's everything for matte. I absolutely love that on matte. All their paint care. You can tell that Jim, the main chemist and owner of Dr. Beasley's, just works super well, knows the paint surfaces well, and understands what matte paint needs. And I don't see the need to change anything on there. So that's all your packages that we went through.
Let me see if there's anything I have some questions about for you. Great job. Thank you. I told you this would be easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I was like, oh boy, we're going to get into this heated argument about picking, like splitting hairs, right? Again, we're splitting hairs.
Right. I'm looking for input and then I'm going to use it. Oh, here's something I wanted to. So here was my list that I'd written down. Coach Kemi T. So this is just my own shopping of going and shopping. I want to see if there's any overlap here. Actually, this was suggested. This was a suggestion from a follower. Coach Kemi T. He thinks it's better than Tarex.
It's stronger. That's for sure. Much stronger.
Well, because Ulex is often too strong, right? So
Yes,
what I have Tarex on the easier side, the softer side,
correct.
and then I have Ulex on the, if I want to kill my
Yep,
nostril hairs,
more aggressive. Yeah,
Right. But I'm always nervous using Ulex, certain paints, certain PPF, certain things, you can end up with problems. Jescar tire and trim protectant, which I never even considered. Somebody had
I haven't tried that.
the APC attachments. I think it's called APC. All the, those flex. There's a company that makes all kinds of cool little attachments for the PXE80. There's microfiber, auto fibers leather scrubber.
Yes,
Actually, one of my guys suggested I consider as a more conservative version than the color lock brush.
yes.
I need to get solution finish in the store. I just haven't gotten it for some reason. Not supposed to show you this, but there's a potential new M101. Maybe I'll
Okay,
cut that
okay.
out. MWC, which you suggested.
Yeah, yeah.
E-scale, which you suggested.
Yes,
I want to try Oberk Squash interior
it's pretty
set.
good. It is pretty good. Yeah.
I need to get Siri glass in the store.
Yes, glass polish.
I've
Yeah.
never done that. They have new rayon
Although, Matt,
coming
for
out.
Seri glass, I will say that's cerium oxide based. You need to use it with a proper rayon based glass pad. If you don't know what you're doing, you can stain trim it. So this I would have for the more prosumer that knows what they're doing. For the entry level, the roll-on compound from Soft 99. It takes all the guesswork out of it. You just spread it on with a felt. It comes with its own applicator and you rinse it off. That's it. You can't get that wrong. So for glass prep, somebody wants something easy, the Soft 99, hard to beat.
And people have to remember, you're not really polishing glass. You're more just deep cleaning it.
Absolutely.
You're going to be there for a lifetime trying to polish scratches out of a lot of glass.
Yeah, Mike Phillips has a lot of videos on polishing glass. You can remove a bit of scratches, but you're polishing for hours and hours with a rotary polisher and crazy cutting pad. Yeah.
I'm going to try the new Clarify Phobic from CarPro.
I'm not as keen on glass cleaners with protection in them because there's Geon Glass Plus performs almost the same way as the Clarify Phobic. But for people who want that, I understand.
I'll probably feel the same.
Yeah.
The new D-Quartz, their glass coating, you can see glass coating was on my mind. There's your rayon pads. So they have a new glass cut pad that's coming out. And which may replace, so it's rayon based that may replace their old crappy rayon pads. Easy fill spout, new O&R, last cut.
You won't like the new O&R.
Final polish.
Yeah.
They actually have Angel Wax Vision in a 5-liter. Vision may go away for me with Traceless. I don't know.
Oh, we forgot to talk about that one. I have a video coming up, but Traceless, yeah. It is probably the best glass cleaner that currently exists on the market. It's just that super wetting technology. I spoke with Pete Hamber about it because I like to geek out on the chemistry behind things. And when people see super wetting, they're going to ask themselves what that means. Basically, it's an easier spread and it clings onto the surface a lot better, but it has a higher wetting capability, meaning that it's more hydrophilic in its appearance and not as much hydrophobic. So it clings on better. And just the cleaning that it does, Traceless is crazy.
And Exodus glass coating. H2Go.
Yeah, that's a good glass sealant. Yeah, H2Go.
Armor glass coating. I was talking to Bradley. There may or may not be some other things on the horizon.
Yeah, they're going to come out with a new version. I think the original one wasn't my favorite glass coating, but their paint coatings and their wheel coating are definitely better in my opinion.
So you can see we're on to trying some different stuff out.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah. And then oops, what do I want here? I want this. Yeah, so I'm going back to the Rag Company in June to revisit. I ordered all the Microfiber Madness towels again. I want to love them. I just generally don't. I always come back to the Rag Company stuff. We've talked about press-alls ad nauseum, trying to get them. I'm getting close. If they work, they work. If they don't, then we'll punt and I'll do something else. I don't know what else because I hate all the other bottles that exist. So working through all this stuff. I think that's all the questions I had for you. Rag Company, Anthony's working on a new lambskin mitt, which could be very interesting.
Okay.
The Detail Factory brush, Microfiber Madness, and Credit Brush, those are all standards that, we can
Yeah.
all, I think,
Oh, yeah.
agree that that's the way to go. Yeah, the Geist stuff, Ram's been after me. I just been
Yeah,
avoiding.
it's worth a test, definitely.
Yeah, yeah. I have some of it. I have to play with it. I
And
just hate
if
I
you like
hate
packaging,
interiors so
that's one
much.
thing. It's not as important for like performance of products, obviously, but I still like when people put time and effort into the appearance. Color Lock is maybe behind the times as far as appearance of their products goes. If you look
Mhm.
at Geist, the modern packaging and it just everything is just beautifully presented. It looks not only performs well, but it looks cool too.
Let's see. Have we sent you the new Solo, the little battery powered
No,
sprayers? I got to get those
no.
to you. They're pretty sick. Lighting's pretty standard as well. Lighting's difficult for me because I want it all. I want to
Yeah,
have it all, but
yeah.
it's freaking big money. If you go up here back to lighting, let's see, where am I at here in the master collection? My lighting that I have in my cabinet is, well, where's my summation? Oh, my summation's over here. 2,200 bucks for the lights. So, I mean, and there's a lot of redundancy there, but I'm having a hard time. I gave up like five of them. The base pen light, the extra small line light, the multi-match 8.
Yeah.
I have all these. So the lighting package was like $3,600 or something like that. I'm like,
Yeah, that's overkill. Yeah,
and
we
I
have the
don't.
tendency to always get back to the same lights that we use.
I use one of them or two of them.
Yeah,
That's the tricky part. And so the goal for my, in my garage, in my cabinets, is to have it to be functionally excellent. I want it to have pure function. And so if I really sit down and ask myself, like for instance, in polishers, I gave up I never use the LHR 21. I just don't use it. So why do I have it in my cabinet? Why am I doing this? I don't use the 21 millimeter Milwaukee. Why do I have it in my cabinet?
correct.
I
Yeah.
don't use the 3-inch Rupes. I use the XFE 7. I still can't give up electric yet, or the plug-in, right, versus battery powered. So at some point, I think the electrics, the plug-ins just go away. And so in my luxury Matt Mormon package, I've got the cordless and the corded stuff still.
I can't wait to try the new Rupes cordless ones. I haven't had the chance to try them yet. Did you test them out, by the way?
Yeah, yeah. They weren't like fully sussed out. Especially the 15 millimeter was still kind of, had some tuning to do.
Yeah.
They're pretty awesome. I mean, they're crazy light. I'd say they're 30% lighter than the Milwaukee. And ergonomically, like the Milwaukee, you kind of have to hold from the battery. But
Yes.
the
Yep.
Rupes you can hold more traditionally. We'll see. I mean, we'll see how they function. I'm going to do it very, very objectively, and say, is it better than the Milwaukee? Is it better?
Uh-huh.
If it
Yeah.
is, then we'll probably stop, with the Milwaukee. Now it is quite a bit more money. It is
Yes.
annoying that you have to have separate batteries. I don't care that much about that. I know a lot of people
No.
do.
No.
But the thing that concerns me is the HLR 75 is a hunk of crap. It's got all kinds of problems. The little
The
swan neck
3-inch.
thingy,
Yeah.
and
It's very loud. Compare when you have the Merca. Oh my God.
yeah,
That
yeah.
thing's dead silent.
Before I got on with you, I was talking with Mirka, to nail down and make sure we had the smaller batteries, because that big battery can get in the way, especially
Yeah.
like your 911. Like you're trying to do the hip area, you can't get
Yes.
in there as easily. So we're bringing a package with the small battery. So I'll get those to you when we get them.
What
But
about a version with, because that's my only not pet peeve there, but if I had one thing I would have added, I don't think they thought about this for detailing, but a trigger lock. Are they
oh, of course,
thinking?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean that's what I've told you behind the scenes that I've been working hard to see if we can have that. They could do it in the software, where you'd like double tap to release it, or single tap, or come up with some sort of solution for it, because they have like runtime in the app.
Yes.
They have runtime. So they're a lot like the Germans. They're very slow to move. They're not sure they believe that, they believe that their polisher is the best, but they don't believe in the detailing market like Rupes did.
Okay.
So I'm trying to convince them to believe.
Yeah,
And if they did, I mean, that thing is, it's, to me, it's the most dramatic delta of any detailing product of all time,
absolutely. Absolutely.
on how much more balanced, how much smoother, but then it's offset by price and flaws, and that it doesn't fricking have a trigger lock.
Yeah.
But the good news is, I think that I think that the dual 2.5 amp hour battery, the small battery, so it maintains the same form factor instead of having the big bulk. The big,
Yep.
the big pack is going to be about $100 less. I wanted it to be more, I wanted to be like $200 less, but after fighting with them, I at least got $100 out of them, to make it $100 less. So I think it's going to be like 770 or something like that,
Yeah.
which is still crazy amount of money.
Of course.
But it's
But that's the kind of tool you buy once and you'll never even think twice of
right.
replacing it with anything else.
I would like to have it where they took the software out. I don't need the freaking app.
Yeah, I don't really use it. Yeah.
Right. Get rid of the app, but it's, they're building it for OEs, OEMs.
Yes. Yep.
So anyway, I appreciate your time, man. I'm glad
My
we
pleasure.
did this. It's going to be fun to see. You'll have to watch back what Rick talks about. I'm going to tell them not to watch our videos so they can come in fresh, with ideas. Corey, maybe I'll, talk to some other people about having this conversation, but I appreciate you, sharing all of your inner secrets here on all this stuff. And
the list is likely to change in 6 months to a year. There's always new stuff.
Yeah, that's the fun. If there wasn't, then what are we doing here, right?
Exactly. Yep.
So anyway, thanks everybody for watching. Make sure to put in the comments what you think is best. Tell us we're idiots. Tell me I'm an idiot. Pan doesn't like to be told he's an idiot. Tell me I'm an idiot. I'm using the wrong stuff. You tell me you agree with Pan. I can take it. I'm a big boy. But this is my channel. Be nice to my guests. That's what I ask for. Otherwise, they won't come on here. So I need everybody to be nice, including those of you who don't like either one of us. How about just move on to the next video. Be nice.
Exactly. Yeah.
We love this, and as you can tell, this is our life's mission here. So just
being a passion.
So anyway, thanks for watching, everybody. As always, stay tuned for more crazy. Pan does his the organizer thing. You know what he's going to say. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Bye, everyone.
Here.
Yeah, that was fun. That was good. That was a good talk.
I knew you would like it. See, I told you. I knew we would do good work.
But then you're going to see the comment section just blow up.
Yeah, well, that's good. We're looking for data. That's what's so great about what we do now, is that you have this we have this massive amount of data that's incoming that allows us to learn at greater speed.
Yeah.
And that's the part that the pros, miss out on, that we have access to. Yes, they're testing every day, but they have to get the job done, so they have less time.
Absolutely.
Testing. And they don't have the feedback loop.
Nope.
Although annoying at times, the feedback loop can be very annoying when they're, telling you're stupid. But sometimes people that type incomplete sentences that are telling you you're stupid have a valid point, And so
they bring interesting topics. Yeah. It's nice to have all our viewers kind of either negate what we say or go in the sense of, I think you got it right on this one.